Hey everybody, Ethan here, and you're on my side of the room. It's across my lap right now. I am finally doing something about my ailing uh, StingRay Sub Bass. We'll get into this in a second as to why it's ailing, but trying to do something about it. And this is once again not sponsored. I don't know if you're going to buy this stuff. I have no skin in the game if you do or don't. But it's time to get out the guitar polish while I'm at it and some fretboard treatment. And string time. Let's do this. Alright, so all the strings are off. And before I started filming, I took the time to start basically dusting this thing. Here's the issue. That is one cracked up fretboard. This is the new bone nut, and this was such a pain to get the nut out. It was absolutely cemented in, and I don't know what it was. It wasn't bone. It's like, it must have been some kind of, almost like plaster is what it was like. But I was saying that the nut before was crumbling. So I thought, oh, well, then I'll buy this $6 replacement nut and fix this. And the fretboard is actually split. This stuff broke off completely, and I've had to super glue it down, so this is fun. Fun fact, they don't sell replacement necks for this, really. Somebody does. They're graphite necks that are really meant for like the real StingRay and not this, Sterling version. But the cost of the replacement neck was $400, and this cost me $350. So at this point, I mean, this could just go in the garbage, and I would just buy a whole new one at this point if this is what we're talking about. So really upset that for a $6 replacement thing, it was such an ordeal. And yes, I know how to take nuts out of this. I've done it on other bases. It's not been a big flipping deal, but they sew like this is not like a solid piece of wood. It's just veneer. It's just layers of veneer is what this really is. But I couldn't believe, I finally had to buy a chisel that fit this slot, and that did the trick, but in doing it, it took this entire end of the fretboard off by the headstock. So it's glued down. I've rested the glue for 24 hours at a throw, and so it's been a few days since this has been all stripped down and ready to go. So what was once my favorite bass is now well, right now on life support, but we'll see. I mean, maybe it's not so bad. This is down in the channel enough. This fretboard is split, but it's like up by the nut, so I'm not going to super worry about it, because when you're fingering, it's going to be down here anyway, so it's not like I'm going to be up here where the split even is. I really shouldn't even be messing around with that, in theory. Now the other thing was I didn't de-string the bass. I just kind of loosened the strings and just kind of pulled them out of the way while I was working. Really, I should have just stripped the bass. There was no point. I did re-string the bass, and the strings were just flab. So it was kind of interesting, to see, there's a difference between flat wounds and having a thuddier sound to it, and then just flab. And that's not going to cut it for this kind of bass. This had tons of zip and everything, and I really loved whacking away at it with the thumb, the thumping. But with the flabby strings, not so much. And it was in tune. It wasn't like it was all just bleh, no action, no whatever. But they stretched enough, with all the fussing, that I think they just stretched themselves out of usefulness. So what I'm going to do, because once again, I tend to aim my comments towards the beginner crowd, and just kind of share my experience with people. And this is not experience specific, like experience level, other than I'm sure I'm going to get grief in the comments about why didn't you take it to a luthier, or why did you feel the need to change the nut on your own, or whatever. Again, normally not that big of a deal to just tap the nut out and put something else in. But why they had to make this such a flippin' ordeal, I don't get it. Other than that's probably suggesting why it's the Sub series bass and not something else. But wow. Well, here's an area of neglect, is the fretboard. This actually feels pretty nice under my fingers just to kind of touch it. But what I'm going to do anyway is use some fretboard treatment anyway, just to kind of stay out in front of this. When I go to Guitar Center and see the used, not that I'm like looking for used right now, but when I see it though, you'll see a lot of just dry fretboards. I mean, they are bone dry big time, and it's just embarrassing. And I don't know that a lot of people know to keep up their fretboards. I didn't really know either. I never used to do that stuff. I used to just play the guitar or play the bass, and that was it. And like the only PMing or preventative maintenance I would do would be change the strings once in a while, but that was kind of like it. So I'm much more hands-on now with my basses than I've ever been with any musical instruments before, as far as the upkeep. Although again, this is like the worst as far as this going. But I mean, while the strings are off, let's, I don't know if I really need to do polish all that much on here. This is natural finish, so I don't know that there's anything to be gained by that. And just taking the kind of chamois cloth here, just kind of wiping it down, that was kind of good to de-smudge and dust under the strings before I put new ones on. Alright, so I'm going to throw some fretboard treatment on here and try to demo this for you, just to let you know like what goes into this in case you don't know. And let's get this restrung. I'm really doing this awkwardly across my lap. This isn't like a squirt bottle, it's like a drip bottle. So as you see, I didn't put a lot of stuff on the fretboard because I'm just going to wipe this out. I'm just kind of circular motion here, doing that. And especially with this fretboard cracking, I want to make sure that we keep this moisturized so that I'm not having it be a split issue as we go along. With the string tension, I don't know what's going to happen with this, about whether or not it's going to just become unplayable. The thing is, it's pretty well all or nothing. If this falls out of playability, it's garbage. I'm not spending $400 on a new neck just for this. At this point, I'll just get something else. And then really pay close attention to the nut situation next time around, because I didn't really realize how crumbly that nut was, or that nut was before. But lesson learned, big time. Once again, just kind of dropping some on here, circular motion. And the other thing too is you can kind of turn this inside out and stuff and get a new spot to work with, just to kind of absorb. You really don't want this like soaking wet. You just want to kind of wet it and then pick it up. Yeah, kind of getting towards the end of it all. Should be able to do it all in one fell swoop, and that's fine. Circular motion. Now, as far as this fretboard treatment, this was just basically like what was readily available at Amazon. Again, I have no skin in the game as to what you buy of this. You could go to the guitar store, you could go online, get whatever. If you watch different guitar-oriented channels, up to and including bass, you'll see people who are like really into like doing work on their instrument, like in such a way that they have like a bench with that little holder thing for the guitar neck and all that, as opposed to like putting it across my lap. That's where I got turned on to the idea about keeping up on this fretboard maintenance. Because there was some guy who was saying that, yeah, you know, oh my God, bone dry fretboard, and I didn't know what he was talking about. And then I looked at my own bass, like, oh yeah, you know what, it really is, like when I did the treatment on it, the playability was really good. It was like, it felt great to play it, and like as your fingers go across the strings and everything and across the fretboard, it felt really nice to play. And, you know, we're not talking about a massive investment here. It was, I think this stuff, it couldn't have been more than $6. In fact, I think it was like 4 or something like that. I don't remember exactly what I paid. And then I'm not doing it with this because I don't think that the guitar itself really needs it, but this is guitar polish and cleaner if you need. Like I've got other basses that are more of a gloss finish, and I would definitely give that a wipe down every so often just to keep it looking nice and whatever, and kind of de-smudge it. So this is ready to be strung, I think. Maybe some, because there's still some wet looking spots here. So we don't really want it wet. We just want it, like the bottle says, hydrated. So think of this like moisturizer. So, not that I moisturize. I think I treat my bass better than myself. But here we are. All right, string time. I'm not going to really film the stringing of it. I mean, strings go on the bass, the end. But once this is strung up, then we'll see how we're doing. All right, it's all strung back up again. Sure, I'm not plugged into an amp, but whatever. Feels nice fretboard wise now that it's been freshly treated. For brand new strings, these do not have a lot of zip, and that kind of worries me. And I just don't know if it's this part of the neck related here, or if it's just new strings and they need to adjust. I don't know. But I'm not going to press the panic button just yet. Plus, I haven't been playing this for a while because of all this nut problems. That Christmas concert I did, this was the bass I was supposed to play during it, and I couldn't bring it, so I had to bring something else. So I have not played this since the 10th, or even before that, the 9th. So it's the 17th now. So yeah, it's like I gotta get reacclimated to playing this thing. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to my tale of woe with this thing, but hopefully it resolves itself. Keep playing, keep learning, and I will catch you in the next video.